Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. That's why we're not waiting on the rapture anymore. The golden age is past. It's a flat earth nation. I'm looking for an audience that doesn't want to debate one more time if the earth is flat. You know it's flat. Let's move on. We're talking, in my opinion, the deepest things in the Bible. And if there's anybody because I don't know if this microphone is working. I'm using a new computer tonight to get by to hopefully get around some of the issues with the internet. So I don't know if I'm using this microphone or not, but I do want to get ready in case you want to join Randy and I, Lord willing, tomorrow morning, I believe about 9 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock in Mountain Time. So, and there's a link in the great galling away. Hola. The, you know, I had so much to share in the other night and about, Marcella, can you hear me as well right now as if I was like holding up this microphone? Because I don't think my headphone is working right now. And if I could, get forget the headphone or something like that, because I've got some pretty important things to talk about. And like I said, this is a new computer. I won't be able to fall back on pictures and things like that. Oh, the microphone is better. Huh. Good. Well, I'm glad we could get that out of the way. Hello, welcome, Victoria. Glad to be here. I'm just about to break the craziest week ever because okay, thank you, Tom. Uh, the whole deal of missing a week and then trying to give a little bit of hints about looks like the warrant is going to be taken care of. Oh, where am I living now? I don't know. Hey, Arturo, you want to come over here and wave? No, you you remember Arturo from Creative Marketing? When I first got to town here in Alamosa, I was out witnessing and ran into another flat earther while I was in jail for a week, 4 days in Alamosa and 2 or 3, I think overnight, call it, it was like 2 days up in Castle Rock where I got released on a personal recognizant bond because the DA was going like, weren't we working this out? But here's the deal. I was arrested coming out of class, not this Wednesday, but last Wednesday. And it was quite, being taken with no jacket or anything else to Castle Rock and being left alone, uh, still witnessing as much as I could and realizing, these have to be the time of light afflictions. In the long run, the Lord knew it's time to get the warrant taken care of. There's still a lot of mystery about why they came to get me out of class instead of like, let's schedule it. But, you know, so I missed an interview for the VA thing. Now, Marcella put in the September 23rd fake rapture is about to cause the great falling away, question mark. Because we have gone over this before, and that's what we call, a question where here's what I think is going to happen. Everybody's so invested, and maybe not in the everybody in the 23rd, but a lot of people, and especially next year with the big eclipse coming and things like that. But when they get disappointed again that the rapture doesn't happen, some will fall away. Some will change their position to mid-trib rapture, and some will maybe change it to post-trib. But every 3.5 years or whenever there's a big push on the rapture and it fails to happen, more and more they'll get disillusioned because they've been taught to believe by the Roman Catholics, the Jesuits, the John Birch Society, not only that we live on a globe, but that Jesus didn't know what generation he was talking about. When he said this generation won't pass away, he meant that generation. I didn't really feel like I needed to write down a whole lot of notes for tonight. And I thank you, Tom. It was a crazy time. And, it will be good to get the warrant. Should I go ahead and get my driver's license again once, I get this ticket taken care of in Castle Rock? It's not like all of a sudden, I want them to be able to detain me whenever they want. So here's what the only things I wrote down for today. It has arrived in time, the judgment. Satan has one last battle called Gog and Magog. I don't think you can read the New Testament, the book of Revelation, chapters 19, 20, any other way but in order and say, well, the beast and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire and Satan is locked into the pit for 1,000 years where he can't deceive the nation. And that seems like the 1,000-year reign of Christ, ruled with a rod of iron. I suggest people read the Bible as a book not written to a future audience only. A generation was to not pass away. The apostles mentioned many of the people by name, and giving them false hope is not really hope at all. It's a lie. So with that in mind, if I'm telling you, I probably, will get a driver's license so I can go back and, do more traveling and get around and do more live shows. But I'm telling you, it is, when they want you, they will get you. Tom, there's a vote no for not getting it. Oh yeah, that's right. So we've got that going on. Let's present. Show you, I had a couple of things, and if Arturo has any questions or anything, he'll ask some if you have any. But in reality, when they took me on Wednesday and my rent ran out on Monday, it was Arturo and some of his friends that saved, my briefcase and all my most important papers, out of my motel room. And because I had been witnessing to the people at the motel for the 2 months I'd been there, they worked with Arturo to protect my things and, make friends when I got back. And, we're moving on here. So we're having to, we'll figure it out. That's what Randy's for. When we get on our worship service in the morning, Randy will figure it all out. Marcella similarly says, thank you, Arturo. So he's giving the old no problem thing. So anyway, what's with this Sigmund Freud, right? You ever heard about this guy? No, you have. The id, the super id, the ego. They started pushing this guy down my throat. Man, it seems like 3rd grade or something, just briefly, but seems like he injected cocaine every day for 10 years. Born of some sort of Jewish parents. It says Galatian in a Moravian town, University of Vienna. Okay. Escaped that Nazi persecution because he was one of these kind of Galatian Jewish people. Id, ego, superego, postulated the existence of the libido. So, men, if your libido's failing, now you know where that word came from and why it's been planned from the beginning. But don't blame your diet. Blame something else. What else do they blame, Arturo? Society's fault. So now he was born to an Ashkenazi Jewish family. That could be part of that Galatian thing. So we got that going. Yeah. These guys just programmed everything here. Maybe we can come back to this because it's boring. Wonder what this was. So here's this article from Wellness Beam. Cocaine became a popular drug in the 1970s, especially in the nightlife scene. However, long before it was a known drug to the world of the night, the father of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud, was already using it frequently. As mentioned earlier on a show, I was brushing up on my Sigmund Freud, at least a gram a day for 10 years. It's a lot. Every time he attended a party, he dressed in his best clothes and sniffed a few grams to free his tongue. That's what he wrote to his fiancée, but it seemed like the man that I heard said that they were usually injecting it. So gradually increased the use, gave it to everybody, was given to it free to promote it. Could cocaine be therapeutic? Not the way they were using it, not the way they were importing it for, guns for hostages in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan and the crack cocaine epidemic. But if you're wondering who was on cocaine, it's all these people that seem to do a lot of inventions, write a lot of books. Jules Verne, Thomas Edison, Alexander Dumas, Pope Leo VIII. Seems as if he began at the age of 40, began to experience trachycardia, and noticed how his intellectual performance declined precipitously. Some sort of arrhythmia in your heart. I knew it wasn't. My first thing was, is that where they eat hair? So he could never get off the hook from his cocaine. And so did Arthur Conan Doyle of the Tarzan, Sherlock Holmes. He was a big time cocaine user. I wonder what this was. Here's where I was getting some of this. So, could you hear that one? Let's see. Freud equals fraud. That's right. The state won't allow state to state travel by air as of May 2023, when I got my lost ID back. Official from Washington State Department DOL letter. Last time Arturo tried to go to Estonia, he's moving there. he got put off, and it was too expensive, even though they made a mistake to send him. So they just gave him a plane ticket back to Denver. It was messed up. So, but that's, and I'm saying let's expect more of that because it's only going to get worse. So we had some Sigmund Freud news. Might have had some more. I wanted to just mention Operation Downfall real fast. The it was a proposed Allied plan for the invasion of the Japanese homeland, because one thing that has to happen is that we have to get a shorter version of when these resets happened. And it's, I know I've had hundreds of people say, I get it, the winners of the war rewrite the history. Well, that was a pretty big war, World War II, and it ended very mysteriously with within 12 years they invented a new form of math, quantum physics, Schrodinger's cat, Einstein, dark matter, that came up with Arthur C. Clarke, the other Scientologist, Hubbard, uh, down to, the short story Philip Dick, and everything else that they've pushed at us with their point of view, with everything from, what I believe the Mandela effect, to the rapture is imminent, to it's an alien invasion, to, oh my goodness, the Anunnaki and the Atlantis, when the whole truth is that everything that Jesus said was true in the Bible. And this is a judgment. It's not going to be okay. And it's not going to be over soon of like, oh, I remember people voting for Bill Clinton because they kind of snickered and said, well, I want to hurry up and get the rapture here. So why not just, I know he's bad, but if they elect him, let's get the rapture here. And that was the 92. Their motto was, it's the economy, stupid. So everything's crazy with that. So how crazy was it around World War II? I'll show you. And I'm glad you asked. So they had all of these plans that would have risked millions of lives, but they wanted a complete subjugation, and they got it. The United States was the king of the world for a long time, but it doesn't seem like it's going to last anymore. And something went wrong in Japan. And this invasion of Manchuria, the Soviet, they call it, on August 9th, does that ring a bell? Well, was it one of the fake nuke weapons dropped that day? Yes, it was. The Soviet invasion of Manchuria, formerly known as the Manchurian Strategic Offensive Operation, or simply Manchurian Operation, began on the 9th of August, 1945. Bombings of Hiroshima. First was on the 6th, the second was on the 9th. Oh, where's the 3? 3, 6, 9. We just got the 6 and the 9. 9 tun bestan du so far. There, I've exhausted my German. So, fake. It's all fake. Used fake math. Fake Schrodinger's cat. But because Japan was going to win World War II, they were the ones. They played eugenics, global chess, Risk, and Japan was going to win. So the Soviet Union, a month after they broke a treaty with somebody, or ended a treaty because Germany lost the war, Soviet Union could come in against Japan, and they did at midnight, and they attacked the 1 million strong army in Japan. They had 1 million people guarding the island, but the United States wasn't going to be able to do it. they weren't going to be able to risk it. They were having a hard time. Well, why? We know now why, because they were dug in star forts. All those islands have tunnels underneath them and star forts, and as they do all over Europe, the United States, Africa, South America, China, Australia, there's tunnels everywhere. Come on, people now. And that's how come they could, get together, as with Satan being loosed. The League of Nations failed, so they could bring back the United Nations, all under the, mutual mass assured destruction. Oh, we won't, we've lived that way in fear of atomic bombs. Well, all of your life, all of my life. So what do we have there? So we have that. Let's see there if it comes up, and I want to check. So we are still rolling here. This is my algorithm. Thank you for the 9 people that are watching. Blacktown flooded under Lake Martin. We know about that. The cyclorama. I'm kind of looking for some of the newer things on the Nephilim clown. Understanding conspiracy. Aren't they supposed to feed your algorithm when you say things like that out loud? Or if they don't want you to get your way. But this is my algorithm. I'm a sucker for old movies. Recently uploaded videos. Now, if you ever get a chance, the history guy, History That Deserves to Be Remembered, he comes out with some really good things. 200,000-year-old tile floor in Oklahoma. Well, I believe it could be a lot older than people think, but I'm not ready to go 200,000 years. Not even. Well, I can't find it. I do want to keep this short since I'm going to need time for tomorrow to get ready for Randy. I'm glad I switched computers, got a better internet result this time. Got the camera, got the light. But we're not using the camera, but the camera light is working. So we'll get it figured out. And like I said, any help, any things, any prayers for Monday of just like going back to college like nothing happened. And because I have to go back to court in Castle Rock on October 12th at 10:30 in the morning or something like that. So it's going to be an expensive trip. But in the meantime, I want you to remember it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past, and mud flood was definitely Armageddon. I'm never going to tell you anything else. Why would I? Why would my friends? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. And that reminds me, if Randy was here, he might want me to remind you that how many times do they have to tell you that space is a vacuum, and yet they're sending rockets up into a vacuum and poking a vacuum and not causing permanent damage? So that's why we don't argue those simple things. Amen, hallelujah, aho, aloha, arrivederci.